as a design manager at Unity. I'm with Ashley, marketing at Titan Haptics, and of course, the rest of the Haptics crew, Eric Bezzoli, Sarah from Inter Haptics, Jason and Irina from Sense Glove. And of course, we are a team of people that have a passion for haptics. Our goal is to raise awareness of the amazing tech and people in haptics and to foster interesting discussions on the subject. And we're so happy to be there for our final episode of Haptics Club for this season. Not of the Haptics Club forever, just this season. We're coming back after the summer. And speaking of that, right now we're joined by our fellow Haptics Club members for the season finale. So hello, Ashley. Hello, Eric. We even have some of our guests and previous guests in the room right now with Alex VR, for example. And we're switching up from a normal format, but accept the same hard-hitting questions, including how we got started, the future of haptics. And we also have a special announcement, so you have to stick until the end. With that, let's jam haptics. So the first thing that I think will be interesting to talk about is the thanks. Thanks, people. Thanks for supporting us, for bearing with us as we get these things going, for supporting us on all the different social networks. So the Haptics Club, I think, is now everywhere. We don't really use it, but we have an Instagram page that is kind of a hollow link to our website. We have a Twitter. That's the main part if you want to stay active with us. We are all on Twitters with our personal account and with the Haptics Club account. We're also on LinkedIn because a lot of our people and fellow colleagues or contacts in the industry are on LinkedIn. But if you're lost and you don't know where to find us, thehapticsclub.com. That's the website. You get all the links for all the previous episodes, all the upcoming episode. And I think it will be interesting for the people that are watching this on YouTube to get a view of that. If you never browse the website, then that will be your chance to see what it looks like. So I'm going to share my screen for a second. So this is the Haptics Club. And from the main navigation, you can have access to our blog. So we're going to have, articles and people writing interesting articles on that. We have the live events like this one right now. We have the About page. On the About page, you can learn a little bit more about the members of the team. And obviously the newsletter that we have, the different link to the social network. And right on the homepage, when you land on the page, the first thing that you see is a link to all the different podcast platforms. So Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube, but we're basically everywhere. If we're not somewhere and that's your podcast platform, let us know. We'll make sure to publish there as well. But as you scroll, example, today you can see the season finale episode. That's the upcoming one. We have not yet published season 3, but we do have ideas and we already have a lot of episode planned for season 3. So that doesn't mean there's nothing after. It just takes more time to show up on the website. And obviously, like I said, the About page about why we're doing this, what's our why, where we're going. And if you want to support us, there are a few different ways to do that. But right now, the page for the support only includes a coffee link. If you want to support us with some donations, doesn't have to be recurring or monthly. It can be just a one tip, $1. It buys a coffee to Ashley. If you put $2, then Ashley and Eric. If you put 3, then I can have some. If you want to be a writer for our journal, it's coming soon, but you can also join us on Discord. There's a big Discord button at the top right of the nav. I think that's where the hidden community have the most amount of fun. If you want to be not just a follower, but an active member of the club, that's a good way to get started. And our Discord is actually pretty cool. Look at this. We have so many fun stuff. We have feedback, general question, different topic, mobile, research, robotics. And obviously some sections are a bit more interesting than others. So you got to be there to see it. That's all. That was the little glimpse. And finally, an announcement at the end of the episode. Can talk about it right now, but if you're on YouTube, you already see what it is. So I'm going to stop sharing and give some vocal time to my friends. And
Yeah,
I want to
love
start
that.
with maybe allowing them to thank our users with their own words.
Yeah, I gotta start because it's been such an amazing ride so far. Meeting some amazing people in person who are listeners to the podcast. Once they find out, it's like, oh yeah, Haptics podcast. And that's been probably one of the most amazing things, traveling from in Canada, United States, and everywhere else. Our listeners are such a blessing. They are so excited, so enthusiastic about the space. They're eager to learn as much as possible. And I think that's why they come here, is to see all the different kind of guests that we have on and learn from all the different people and their backgrounds and their stories. And so just thanks to everyone who's taken the time to say kind words, to give us feedback. We love every type of feedback. It's just, thank you so much for taking the time to listen and to engage with us, and just have some fun with haptics. That's what this is all about. It's like, it's such a fun space. There's so much to learn, so much to do. And it takes everyone coming together and just like aligning efforts, or sharing, or even caring to like listen and learn. So thank you so much, listeners. Appreciate you so much. Bless.
Thank you, everyone. Let me just start to say that I hate you, all of you, and I have no idea why I'm here. Thank you.
I'm trying to mute Eric. I can't. Oh, that's why.
I don't have the control.
No, sorry, it's my no, sorry. It's a funniest thing to do. I've been doing this 2 years, so I love you guys. All Manu and Ashley, it's fantastic co-pilots of this journey, and all the speakers. It's like it's best way to stay connected, and I probably learned more in the last 2 years about in the Haptics Club in the rest of my life by far. I mean, it's a laid back conversation with experts, and it's you have a chance to say to be speculative without being judged, and that's invaluable because you can get people to talk, and you can talk and you share, and you grow and learn much more than an academic conference where it's all about, what can you prove, what you can't prove. I don't believe you. Yeah, it's fine. 90% of academic is crap. Everybody knows that. So it's nothing. It's true, actually. It's and after a few years, that things pops out and things stand. So thank you, all of you. Sorry for my Italian accent, and you have to bear it for a little bit more. And let's go back in track.
Yeah, you got to keep that Italian accent. That's your mark of fabric.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that. So
guys, what did you like more in this season? What are your top 3 episodes?
Oh, I love this question. I think I would say a general statement is that I'm getting used to the video format, because this is something completely new to me. I never really did a lot of video in the past, and I think it's a lot of fun. My favorite episodes are the one that gets to have a chance to be visual, because it gives another flavor to the conversation. You can see the excitement in the eyes of the different guests that we bring on stage, not just in their voice, but in their hand gesture, in the way that they look. And sometimes you can learn a bit about them from the background that they have. I remember the Teledeldonics episode that we had, and you can see all the cool devices in the back. So it gives a little bit more to the stories. So that one I think was my favorite, because it's part of an industry that I explored, but it's not, I think, the best episode. I think there is not maybe a best episode. I think they all have something in particular. And I love this season because we can see a drastic change from the previous one in how comfortable we are in front of the camera, in our routine of how we organize those episodes and we come prepared, the energy. And I've missed a lot of those because I was traveling as well. And just seeing sometimes just Ashley owning the subject with Eric, just on them, the two of them, makes me feel like we have a great team, and I'm just happy every time that we get to come together with that. So I won't say that I have a favorite episode. My top 3 though is definitely adult haptics ecosystem. I think I really enjoyed the prototyping with Thomas Muller as well. And there was another one with Matt Tullis, which I used to work with. So mid-hair haptics, something I was very interested into. So this one felt like I want more from that, and I hope that we can get some of these colleagues in a future episode again.
Oh yeah, those are good ones for sure. And agreed. It seems like every episode there's always some kind of gem that comes out that's just like did not expect, and it's like truly magical. And I wish I could capture all those. For me, I think I really love some of like the kind of hardcore deep dives with people that have had a lot of experience. So for me, Vincent Hayward was an amazing episode because it's just like I'm just sitting there just like in awe of like the history, and he's someone that's referenced constantly in a lot of people's careers. So I think there's something really special about that, being able to sit down with someone who's had such an influence and impact in the world of haptics and really like technology. Same with Chris Ulrich. I think Chris has such a vast experience, and he was very open, a lot more open than I thought he could be or would be. And so I learned a whole lot in that episode from him. And I love D-Box. It's no like it just is what it is. And I think Robert brought to the show a good fundamental understanding of the importance of haptic experiences. And it was from a different angle that we've had before. And so for me, I learned so much in that episode. And I'm just grateful for every conversation we've had, but those stood out to me if I had to pick, which I hate, but I did. So there it is.
I love when you ask people to pick because they feel torn inside. And yeah, and thanks for it's nice because everybody of us has their own like picks and it makes sense. I kind of agree with I actually some of the like all most experienced guys are wonderful. I have I left my heart a little bit in musical haptics. That's keeps especially I released it a couple of times because I wanted to be sure I got everything. And I mean, learn haptics also again takes some of this place because it's about sharing and giving back, and also the one with David Parisi and Dave Berman about the impact on society. That was a speculative level times 4,000 or 9,000 or 9,000, yes, and that was fun. That was definitely fun. I mean, I feel we touched a lot of topics in this season, and we did a huge circle starting from, books presentation, and there was the experience talks about careers and what changed, new fields like musical haptics, e-commerce, and going back to XR in depth with Matt Tullis, with his experience in many different companies and being extremely rational about what's going on, what's going to happen. So yeah, I like it. This like was speculative, like even feeling touch and temperature with chemical haptics. That was great, and more back, back to the ground with experience and or execution and how we can move forward. So I'm looking forward for next year.
I love that. I was actually just shocked by the amount of episode we put out this season. Obviously, the first season kind of is deserved because we started late in the year. And just for those that are listening, if you're a little bit confused with what we call season, it's basically almost like a school year because a lot of us are in academia or think that way still. Um, but when you think about it, the first season I think goes up to episode 8 because we are ending in August. And after that, we started back the year in September with number 9. And right now we are at episode 28. So there was almost 20 episodes in that second season, actually 18, starting with wearable haptics and hand interaction for VR with Simon Frobis. Super episode also for people that are starting with that. We talked about sensory superpower with David Eagleman, Daniel Shore on the humanity of touch in a digital world, spatial haptic texture with Dr. Yasmin Vardar, feeling touch and temperature with chemical haptics, impact on society of pervasive HD haptics with Dave Binborn. Then we had automotive haptics product with Ranjini, demystifying haptics with the Learn Haptics project, immersion CTO 20 years of haptics technology experiment with Chris Ulrich, Vincent Hayward, Ashley just mentioned that, Godfather of haptics, amazing episode. That was back in February. And after that, we still had 10 more. Surgical robotics, haptic perception with Antoine Weil de Fros.
You are scaring our listener here.
That's true. Quantification of haptics with Elisa Santella from Grey Wolves. XR haptics, implementation and design guidelines book presentation. I think that was Rafal. Then we had haptics in movie theaters with D-Box and Robert Deshotel. Mid-air haptics with Matt Tullis. Haptic prototyping with Thomas Mueller from Haptics Labs. Adult haptics ecosystem with Cal Machulis. Haptics in marketing and e-commerce with Margot Ragat. If you missed that one, you have to watch it. It's absolutely amazing. And one of my favorite is actually the latest one. I completely forgot about it, but the musical haptic experiences with Samantha. I was not there in the crowd, but I listened to it yesterday again because I was listening live from Santorini. And let me tell you, it was worth my full night. I was like connected so late, and I really enjoyed this one as well. So yeah, that's 18 episodes for season 2. And we're planning probably as much for next year. Like we have so many things planned already. Maybe we'll bring some other people back. Maybe we'll have completely new industries that we didn't touch yet. And definitely let us know what is a subject that you feel is lacking, or things that we could do better. We're always open for feedback. So you can reach out to us directly by sending us a tweet if you want to make it public, or a DM, whatever is the best for you.
Yeah, I want also to say that we are on YouTube, and that's a major milestone. And I'm definitely seeing how it's changing our way to interact with the audience. And I feel also the quality, because they are much more enjoyable. And the channel is growing quite a lot. There's a huge engagement. So yeah, and it's from a pure marketing perspective, this things is kind of working. So it's quite happy about it.
One of our metric was if we have at least one listener per episode, then it's worth doing it. And so far we have it. So
Yes.
we'll continue. You won't see us finishing with this anytime soon.
That looks awesome. So we always ask to our listener a couple of questions, right? And we never asked ourselves these questions. And so Manu, or better, sorry, apologies. Ladies first, Ashley, how
Thank
did
you.
you
I was
start
about
with
to say it.
haptics?
I want to hear Ashley first.
Sorry, I thought I was getting away from it. Yeah, we always grill everyone, and we never have a chance to share in this. How did I get started? Well, as you guys know, I've worked for an R&D company, and along the way, they created a technology called Tack Hammer, which solved a problem of if you connect mobile phones, you can have haptics that give you the feeling of buttons when there are no buttons there. And along the way, the team created different haptic experiences based on that motor. And one of them was in virtual reality. And it was one of the first times I tried virtual reality, and it was with our haptics. And it was like this weird aha moment. I think there's very few aha moments in your lifetime. One of my other ones was trying a Suzuki motorcycle. That was a huge aha moment. But this one was this haptics in virtual reality. It was like it clicked of like there's something truly magical here. And when you mix the magical nature of someone designing a space and adding feeling in a way that you just don't expect, that's enchanting, more than just a rumble or more than just a buzz. There's something there, and that's for me kind of where it all kicked off. Like I love the idea of technology and mobile phones, of course, but for me it's where this haptics journey kind of kicked off, was that particular moment of playing like Waltz and the Wizard, cool haptics, and that's where it all began for me. That's where it started, and I just haven't stopped. It's been an itch of trying to bring cool stuff to life, and one of the reasons I'm with you guys is to help promote what other people are doing, because there's a lot of people doing cool stuff, including you guys, and that's why I love working with you so much, because you have that same kind of vision for the future. So yeah, that's where I got started. R&D company. Haptics was a technology that we created by happenstance in some way, solving a completely different problem than haptics itself. And with that, it unlocked this entire journey that's kicked off a really cool area of my career that little Ashley would not have expected. Little Ashley, it's like, you're going to be in haptics. I'm like, what is that? And what is that all about? But I'm so grateful. So yeah, that's my journey. Let's throw Manu. What do you got? What's your story?
Wow, I don't know if that's cool, but I have to talk about it as well. I guess so. I will separate my understanding of what haptics is and my haha moment versus my career switch. So I would say 2015 is definitely when I placed the first time that I was really understanding or feeling haptics in a way that is like, oh, that's a thing. It's not just a passive experience that I'm experiencing without knowing what it is, which I think is where more of the major public is right now, is people are just using it. They don't really know what it is. For me, it was a Taptic engine because at the time I had the new MacBook with the Retina display, and I was like, "Oh my god, that changes everything." It felt magical at the time for me to realize it, and I guess that's because Apple put a name on it. Before it was just like vibrations. And haptic is not just that. So having someone put a scientific term or a marketing term around it kind of make sense. And then I think later on the iPhone 6s came along with it. So now it was in our phone, and I directly saw, I was already a UI UX designer, so I directly saw the added addition effect of bringing not just visuals and audio to the experience, but also tactile. And at the time I was passionate about knowing how do people actually design for that, and I couldn't find for the life of me the answer of it. And at the time my career was mostly visual, so it was just as a curious customer that I was interested, but not from a career perspective. And I was also working with MindGeek, the company that owns many adult websites, and they were working on devices that used to connect to video. And at the time, they created some of those devices, adult devices, and the term haptics came along again. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's very related to what Apple is doing. And then I started realizing, but wait a minute, there's many things that vibrates around me. Is it haptics too? And then you reflect on your own self. You remember toys that you play with when you were a kid, or engine or a car and things like that. And I've just been very interested into multisensory design in general. So when I joined IBM in 2017, at that time I was working in the XR department, and for me there were the lack of haptics. I felt like whatever VR headset was trendy at that time had the very bare minimum of what it should be. And from a design perspective, I was always frustrated. I wanted to have an interface that would allow me to design for that as well. So it took me 2 years and a half to scratch that itch. Then I joined Immersion. And when I joined Immersion, it was a big, not just aha moment, but slap in the face of realizing that this thing has been going on for 3 decades. Many big brains have been already thinking about it for a long time. You're just a young person that have no idea of what it is. But I was also coming from my experience of design and XR, and Immersion was not necessarily focused on that. There was mostly OEM, automotive. So I brought that to the table, and I learned a lot from my colleagues at the time. Many of them now are still friends today, with even if they work with other companies. We have people at Microsoft, we have people at Unity, we have people at even guests that we have in the Haptics Club. And I feel like what I realized at that time is that a lot of people are from the academia, but they don't necessarily know each other, or there is a lot of bureaucracy or administrative, I would say, burden that prevent them from innovating. But it was also the first time that I was like actually working in an R&D company that would tell you, here's a budget and explore. And for me, it was also a huge part of my career, moving from purely a designer to a researcher, and having to really study the human body, study vibrotactile feedback, but also temperature, senses, how to make sense of all of that, and how to create novel experiences, but not just from an end user perspective, but also for people that would have to implement that, how to make better video games, how to help people in healthcare using better tools. So I would say that the moment, but that my career switched. And from that moment, I never looked back, even though I'm at Unity right now and I'm working on digital twins. But it always involves me having the haptic hat and trying to make sure that it's always in the conversation. And like us, I think the podcast is a way for me to kind of educate, and continue to grow that community, so that we can continue to help more people with it, because I think it's a magical technology that can save lives. So that's my spiel. I'll pass it to you,
Oh,
Eric.
awesome. Love it.
How I started with haptics, I mean, that's fun. I mean, again, PhD. No, I probably said it already. I was doing a master in high energy physics, and I did spend like 7 months on a particle accelerator in Grenoble. And I did all my work on these kind of things, and arrived at the week that I was supposed to do the measurements. There was the flux of electrons was unstable. And basically 6 months were just thrown out of the window. And just for fun, I said, I hate these things. The next time I want to do something that I can touch, because in Italy there is these literal things that says if you can touch it, it means it's real, and you can have you can act on it, right? And I was in a period of my life when, taking stupid decision was part of the job. It was 24 years old, and I said, yeah, I would take a PhD in haptics. Is literally what I just said, and that's probably the best decision in my life. And yeah, I got my PhD in surface haptics, and then from there it's like a bumping in every haptics technology ever met, and trying to make a life building startups, and Ashley knows how hard it is, that things. Yeah, she's yeah, it is. And then till like 2 months ago, got acquired by Razer, and right now I'm just putting more fuel on the accelerator and trying to change the haptics market as a whole. And this is, I mean, it's like just so fun. I wake up in the morning and say, oh, we should do that. That's too fun. And that's what keeps me going. That's maybe stupid, but that's what keeps me going.
Not stupid at all. I think this is awesome. And that magical thing you just described is what makes me happy about the haptics market, is that it's frustrating that it's not yet where we think it should be, but the fact that it's not, it's still magic. And having the luck or the privilege to work on that every day is just awesome, because there's so many more things we have yet to discover. So it's like going into uncharted worlds and exploring. You're on the edge of the knowledge of humanity on that subject. And I think with Razer, you have so many cool things coming up that I can't wait to play with. So I have no idea.
And not to tell you anything, guys, but
it
will be fun. It will be fun.
Yes. So that brings me to the second question, and I'll go back to Ashley for that one. Where do you think haptics could be in 10 to 20 years?
It's funny to just think about in the future, in that 20 years, looking back, what people will think of our kind of like Neanderthal version of haptics experiences. So for me, I think that it's going to change in terms of content and available experiences. I think it's going to be something that becomes the norm. Being able to like feel something. I think it's going to be in everything we do, everything we experience, it'll just become a part of that. And so much so that a life without it will just seem silly. It's like not having your mobile phone, not having a laptop, not having a watch. So I just see a vision of it being less about focus on what the thing is that's doing it, but it's that everything that we have will feel some way. It'll feel more alive. It'll feel more like it's communicating with us. And so that's kind of like the vision of haptics as I see it. I don't care, like most people, I don't care how things work. I just want it to work really well, and I want it to be amazing. And that's how technology should be. It's like this enchanting experience that just happens. And the people who create it are, magicians. Like it takes people understanding how the body works. It takes people understanding what heat does and how it needs to be dissipated. But none of that matters to the end user. And I'm an end user as much as I am someone who works in a company that builds these things. So the future is people, designers, artists being able to take a vision and just turn it into something that someone else around the world could experience in a way that tells their story, just as if it's a book that someone has written. And I think that's where haptics is going to go. It's going to be, I won't say it's a language. I'll have David Parisi chasing me so fast if I say it's haptics is going to turn into its own language, but I think it's just going to be a part of an everyday experience that will have a lot more opportunity for what it feels like, how it feels, when it feels, and it'll just be a lot more open. I think based on where we're going as a group, as a team, as even as a company, it's like, it's not about us building a moat, it's about us building a future where everything works together and it works really well, because that's the only way we win, which is, I think, kind of been a detriment to haptics for some time, is that moatness. So yeah, that's where I see it going. It's open, beautiful exploration, just journeys that people create, and using cool technologies, including my own. Okay, that's it for me. Thanks, guys.
Actually, I wanted to ask one question. So we have seen a lot of like development in vision and sound. Like for the last 100 years, there are a lot of things happen in vision and sound. But in haptics, there are not many things happen in the haptics, only apart from some actuators. So yeah, so is there any reason like we are becoming optimistic about haptics? Like why it did not happen in the last 20 years? What have changed in the last 10 years that now it will happen in the next 10 years?
How many NDAs you want to sign? I cannot tell you, Shubo, but we are pretty confident that shit can get sorted out. No, it's my perspective. So I will answer to one more questions, and I will answer to your question at the same time. and future of haptics 10, 20 years. So I am with Ashley here. The objective is to create a transparent technology for the end user. And my sole mission as Interaptics and right now with Razer is to make that things happen. That's only things by which I build the company. That's my only vision every day I wake up. I want that things to happen. How can I arrive there? And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You need to check what other technology did. And these other technologies are audio and video. And audio and video technology arrived in a situation and you plug your display and it works. 20 years ago, it was not like that. You needed to download the driver of your monitor. Maybe some of our listeners not, but you still need it at the time. And till not long ago, you needed to download the DirectX to make 3D works actually. And right now we don't, because technology set this shit together and you have things that are set to interoperate between each other, right? And I will also argue that the problems that video and audio are addressing were as difficult as the haptics. And probably one of the only reasons why haptics not yet there is that it was not a must-have for a lot of use cases. So probably the people just don't pour enough money in engineering. Right now is getting not maybe must-have, but a really, really, really nice to have in gaming and home entertainment and all this kind of things. So you actually pouring money. And where I see it in the 10 or 20 years is that this vision that Ashley proposed, that things just work, will happen. And how it will happen through the same systems that happen in audio and video. And it happens through standards. And this is the only things that sorted out the shit in audio, sorted out the shit in video, sorted out the shit in many, many, many other markets. And it will happen through standard, or accepted and proposed by people, or just imposed on the market. Because standard happens in two ways, or people agree on top of it, or someone just is so big and just get to the point. Like, new standard of the controller is the PS5 DualSense. You don't see enough other DualSense controller on the market, but that's already the standard of the controller. So that will happen, So yeah, to answer to your question, Subo, is how it will happen is through, probably my point is through standards and through collaboration, cooperations, because people realize that the pie is just much, much bigger if there is a lot of company building software and content for that. So you sell many, many more actuators if there is a lot of content that can use your actuator, and the other way around. If you can distinguish your content through haptics by the competitors one, and you can keep your gamers playing more, you generate a better experience for them. Those people are more happy to pay more money. And that's, I think it's, you need to get the flywheel started, and the flywheel is a content-driven economy. And to do so, you need to ensure that the content creator can deploy everywhere in a reasonable amount of quality. And they have enough haptics device on the market that can monetize their content. And I am pretty sure that we'll get there. Maybe not in 5 years, maybe in 10 years. I don't know. I don't want to put a date, but the dynamic that was audio is there also in haptics. The key difference is that haptics is not a medium, which means that doesn't make sense alone yet. Maybe in adult experience, yes, does make sense, maybe alone. But it does not make sense alone in other markets. There's not the music for haptics, and there's no images for haptics that help maybe drive this medium alone. It does make sense only multisensory experience. This maybe drag a little bit the feet in some markets. But I definitely agree with Ashley. 10 to 20 years won't be, I think, a lot on the haptics technology or revolutionary haptics technology. Will be about the slowly maturing of these technologies, but mostly about how we can ensure that there is a smoothless, linear experience for the user and a great quantity of content that allows the user to experience a deeper connection with the artist or the creator.
I like that you answered that question in a very practical way, because many people don't understand the power that standards have on their daily life and how it influences what type of hardware or software they will interact with. And it's so important, but yet not somewhere or people are investing a lot. And I'm really happy to see, like, for example, the Haptic Standard Forum and all of the work being done in the industry forum to actually push standards as well is what will actually change the narrative in the couple, even maybe shorter than the next 10 years, hopefully, the same way that we've seen happening with audio. At least that's my hope. I will take the answer from a different perspective. Most people know me as Manu Vision, and so I have to take my hat of visionary and make us dream for a second. I'll bring us to the next 10, but also 20 years. I've explored a lot of that question 3 years ago when I was working at Immersion. And I believe that by now, all of that is not confidential anymore. And most of it are thoughts that I have in my brain and not actual papers or NDAs. So I feel like I can talk about it. But basically, for me, it's going to be a convergence of many different technologies that we will see happening in the coming years. We're already seeing it with the metaverse, right? Like if we try to make it simple, metaverse try to connect things like internet and Web3 and XR and trying to see all of this schmilblick together into one thing that is going to be the human technological experiences. I see this with a little bit more broad and more practical use case, a little bit in our user experience life. Things like AI, 5G, autonomous vehicle, extended reality, and from a hardware perspective, not just wearables and smart clothing, but also contactless, kinesthetic, even neural interfaces or cortical interfaces. And that's going to be gradual. On the very short term, we're already seeing it. There's many people that are working on smart clothing right now, and that involves a lot of cool new stuff that we can do with haptics. And that's because we're thinking from a conversational AI perspective with smart things, with connected spaces, with semi-autonomous vehicle. We're not yet fully autonomous, right? But the big bets from all the big companies right now is that by 2030, you always hear, by 2030, we'll be fully ecological, or by 2030, the cars will drive themselves, fully autonomous. By 2030, AR and VR will replace smartphones. Well, if that's the case, then we should get to a point where things are more contactless, more kinesthetic. And by 2040, if that same exponential convergence continues, then we'll be talking about not just spatialized AI, but maybe general AI. Many people could debate that it won't happen that early, and maybe it won't. But if we go toward that direction at least, then the world shall be smart, not just the spaces, not just the things. So we move from a very local way of thinking things, like my light bulb is smart, to my company is smart, to maybe my city is smart, or my country is smart, or the world is interconnected. And in that connected world, that is not just a connected space or a connected city, then all the things talk to each other. So it's not just semi-autonomous vehicle or fully autonomous vehicle that we're thinking about, but autonomous world. And in that moment, then we are in a fully merged reality. We're not just talking about mobile AR or console VR like we have right now, or not about wearable AR, VR, and contact lenses that it will be in maybe 10 years, but about fully merged reality where people have neural cortex interfaces where they are connected with everything that is around them. But like both Ashley and Eric said, when it becomes almost invisible to them, we should not have design in the way. Good design is invisible. People should not be thinking when they want to listen to their best music about finding the jack and connecting the right button. And no, they just want to listen to that music. That music is happening right now. And we're already in moments where this thing is already fluid. And it should be the same with every other senses. So I hope that by the next 20 years, we are in a place where this is a reality, and not just because it's cool and like you can think right now, maybe if you're more into, let's say, gaming, oh my god, imagine the video games in that era. Yes, and that's very exciting. I want that as well. But I think about where it can help human again, and I think from an ecological perspective, from healthcare perspective, from social changes, this will bring a lot of people more together. It will bring maybe the sense of empathy closer. And hopefully technology isn't there in the way to tear us apart, but more to bring us together. And that convergence of tech hopefully converge culture and thought process and make human go in the same direction again. So that's my hope for the future. That's how I see things evolve. And so far, it's still validated by every single new discovery. So far, so good, I would say. Hopefully it gets better. But yeah, that would be my answer.
That's awesome. Yeah, Hugo, I hope we answered your question, and I feel it answers your question. Yeah,
A little bit of
that,
sprinkling positivity, because
yeah, that's
the world is very
positivity.
dystopian if you think about it.
Yeah, then I mean, 20 years from now and 20 years ago, there was no iPhone. So what the heck are we talking about? So what do we know about the future? Nothing. So
That's a very good point. Good point, Eric.
We know nothing. That's
Yeah.
every day you wake up, you learn something new, and you're like, oh my god, I know really
yeah,
nothing.
we are all Jon Snow in this moment, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's however, it's exciting. I love this like convergence of things. I mean, there's long-term convergence, short-term convergence. One thing that I'm really excited about is the conversion between interactive content and linear content and immersive content. It's this blurry line between video games and cinematic experience and VR and immersive experience that hopefully will get blurrier and blurrier and blurrier, and hopefully and probably will be the beginning of what they call metaverse, and which is it by sheer force of willingness of the public to be able to interact with their own favorite cinematic experience, and the games that are interactive becomes much more cinematic experience, because I mean the latest AAA games are just wonderful, and their budget is bigger, if not similar to the biggest movies, and they're just amazing. This Unreal 5 is just incredible. Sorry, Manuel, just Unreal 5 is just mind blowing.
I play all games and real games as well.
It's just mind blowing shit. So sorry for the shit. I feel like swearing today, and you should beep it.
We could tell.
You're Italian.
Holy shit, Eric. Jeez.
We're
But
not
I have
gonna
a
beat
pink,
that.
I have a pink headphones. I can, no. No, sorry. It's just that I'm excited about, because I'm somehow sorry. I somehow skeptical in some way about metaverse. Yeah, but do you really know what you're talking about when you talk about metaverse? I don't, because nobody defines it, so I have no idea. But it's like, I mean, I still feel that this kind of interoperability, bringing yourself into the immersive and transport yourself into the different experiences of space, might start with the convergence between cinematic and interactive and immersive experiences that is going on in video games and movies. Probably next 10 to 20 years.
Any last talk on that, Ashley?
No thoughts. I think I stay away from the M word as much as I can, because I think it's in a tough place right now where a lot of people are throwing money at it, but I don't think they're doing it in a kind of like with the right intentions. But I think what we've talked about, to me, if that's the definition and that's the future, then I'm definitely all in. I think, yeah, the convergence, the cooperation, the leveraging technology as like the superhuman power to enable all of us. So there's like a quality. I think that gets me so excited, and I appreciate, Manu, your vision of the future. I think you took us like really far, and I think that's a beautiful thing to think about, because it's like we need to aim at something, and if we're aiming towards something like that, of that kind of quality and that caliber, then I think we're all aligned in a beautiful direction that's gonna definitely change the world in a really great way. So you got me hyped. You got me mad hyped. But I'm not saying the N word any further.
I love that. You know what? I'll just say a really last thing is one of my my biggest mentor, I would say, was Sid Mead, and peace to his mind. I think he passed away 2 years ago now, but he was a vision futurist, and he's the visual artist behind, the biggest movies that we can think about in sci-fi, like Alien. Think about any sci-fi movie is probably behind. I don't have the names right now because I'm thinking too fast, but yeah, I think what's crazy in the way that he was answering one of the questions, people said, are visionaries responsible when their visions are not executed, or are they responsible for what people make of their vision later on? And he said, the only role of a visionary is to allow people to dream outside of what they can dream by themselves. That is all. He doesn't see any responsibility behind that. And I kind of disagree with him. I think that we have indeed a responsibility. Like the past 40 years of sci-fi have been very dystopian, in a way, to kind of put red flags and to tell people stories that what could happen if we don't do things right. And the goal of those sci-fi artists or writers and storytellers was to say, this is the blueprint of what not to do. Don't do it. But let's talk about it because it's a fun sci-fi concept. And we absolutely didn't listen. We are going into trying to exactly doing that. A lot of government are exactly copy pasting things from those movies, putting it in place right now to have more control on their society and so on. And I'm like, where are the utopians? Where are the futurists that are trying to bring positivism or trying to think of a future that is a bit different? Because we need representation. We need representation for kids that still want to dream that there is hope, for people that want to imagine a different future. And if there is nothing on the market to inspire them, then yes, they will just default to, whatever we have as sci-fi right now, which is very dark. And I see that every day in design decisions being taken in companies. I see that every day in new cool startups coming out. And not that we don't need that as well. It's just we need a certain balance. And right now, when the world is trying to show some echoes of issues from a cultural and nature perspective, the future, so it's always nature, culture, future. The future is where you can dream again. So I'm trying to bring back those more, I would say, optimistic thoughts, because I think it's a good thought experiment just to think very far in the future and how we can go to lay down like a path and a vision that we can follow that is actually positive. And I very believe that haptics has a huge play in that. And that's exactly why I do this. That's why I'm doing this with you. That's why I'm here. So yeah. And I wanted to segue that to our next section where we are basically giving the dates for season 3. I believe September 1 is our current, hopefully next episode for season 3. So that would be the Haptics Club number 29, first episode of season 3. We are not yet sure 100% who's going to be that date, but you can be sure that's when we start back. And then we'll continue every 2 weeks on Thursday, September 15, September 29, October 13, October 27. And then we'll do November 10, November 24, and then we're going to stop there for the Xmas holiday, starting back in January, again, like we do every time. So if you hear this and you wonder when is the next episode, it's just in 2 months, not too fast. Actually, less than 2 months. It's in 1 month because we are already July 28th.
We need to paint in the speaker who will be.
Yes.
You will discover it in the next episode.
So, Eric, we have a special announcement. Do you want to tell the crowd?
Yeah. And then we'll have Ashley pitch it because she's been the poster advertiser for this. So we, for a fun, we created, this Haptics Club, and then we created a website and then blah, blah. But what we really wanted and we are really proud of, and I will see that all the time, is that we really like our t-shirts, And we thought, why should we restrain ourselves to make t-shirt for ourselves? And we are going to open the opportunity for every fun to get one t-shirt for yourself. And we'll open the special edition in black also, which I'm looking forward to buy, by the way. And it will be also a nice little surprise. I prepared also the mugs for with our logo. Let me just pull up maybe the shop if I can, yes. And I'll put it on the website. Give me 1 sec. And
I must say I'm excited for the black version of the shirt because right now my fiance owns and controls the other version, and that's why I'm not wearing it right now. She likes it so much.
Yes,
so I want another one.
It's a benefit of no one can fit in my shirt, so I'm good.
Here it is. Let me share the screen, and I have it up. There are also multiple colors, actually, not just black. So this is our wonderful new shop that is coming up. This is the black shirt for ladies.
We don't see the screen yet.
You don't see my screen? Yes, because I didn't set click share. So this is our little Haptics Club shop. We have our black t-shirt here with the background. We have the cups with the Haptics Club black one. We have
if you're not on YouTube, you're missing out. Eric is showing us some very cool design of.
We have the white tees and the white cup, and we can also choose the colors. No, this is the builder. Yes, here it is. We have the white, we have the black color, and we have the gray, the dark gray for men. I found it quite nice. We'll see about how much requests we have for the colors we can create it. And for the ladies, we have another special color, and I think is coming up here. We have the blue navy one.
Oh,
So
navy blue is nice too. I like
black, navy blue, and white. And we are planning to make it available worldwide, or at least Europe, US, Canada, and Mexico. We are working for the logistics now. Sometimes it's not so easy. And we have a reasonable and affordable price that everybody can get, but will help us also to pay for the website. And then the small expenses we have keeping up the Haptics.
Can you imagine that people can just listen to the podcast for free? It's amazing. We're in an age and era where you can just tune in and that's it.
Yes.
You get your content. So yeah, if you want to support us, the store is a way to just not rep the brand, but also support us. Because it costs to do this. And we do it for free because we love it. But sometimes it's nice to be supported financially too. But obviously, this is not at all obligatory. Do it at your own savor if you want to. And we're super happy if you do, but we'll still love you as much if you don't.
Ashley, do you like the selection? Because I didn't consult you before.
I love it. I definitely need the mug. I'm representing cats at this point, so we really need to get on that. I'm obviously representing the shirt right now, and I get a lot of requests. That's the one request I get is like, if I'm wearing the shirt, like, oh, where do I get a shirt? I'm like, so
I
yeah.
remember when you went to the last conference. Was it the XR conference? No. Where
I just went to VRTO and I was wearing the shirt at AWE.
Yeah,
That's probably AWE. Yeah.
I mean, I find it like it's a wonderful shirt because we are not representing any, vested interest beside the fact that we love haptics. So that's, let's say, this is, I find it pretty, let's say, pretty not unbiased. Let's say. You just say, I love haptics. I keep the Haptics Club shirt. Even if my company don't care, just say, I love this, and I talk about that all the time, and that's
It's just genuine love.
Sharing the love of haptics.
Well, I love that. Well, thank you.
Okay.
That's all we have for today, but any last minute thought or anyone in the audience that would like to say something? If not, we'll see you back in September. And I'm more than happy to take this break because I was not there for the last episode. I'm kidding. I actually can't wait for September 1.